The South African National Defence Force has refuted claims made by NPO Open Secrets. Now, it recently exposed an alleged military squad responsible for acts of torture and murder. The organization, which exposes private sector economic crimes, alleges that within the SANDF, there is or was a unit abducting civilians, torturing them, and even going as far as killing some of them. According to Open Secrets, some whistleblowers were even hiding now, fearing for their lives after feeling the wrath of this unit. But in a media briefing yesterday, the SANDF denied the existence of the so-called torture squad, saying the allegations are a fabrication. Let's get you some analysis about what this could mean. Bring in the Institute for Security Studies researcher, Willem, who's no stranger to Newzroom Afrika, and joins us via our video link this morning. Great to have you on the program as always, sir. Thanks very much indeed for making time. I wonder if we can take a couple of steps back. When you first heard about the claims of this torture squad, what came up for you? Did it come as a surprise?
Good morning, Ayanda. Yeah, it was quite a surprise because in the first place, if you remember back, and you said we should take a step back. If you should take a step back towards the 90s and the 80s, you know, then there was a similar situation where the BSB was uncovered also by the media, and it was investigated, and later on some people were actually arrested and found guilty for a very similar situation that we are dealing with now.
Absolutely. And, you know, the SANDF has come out to say that this is a fabrication and they take these claims very seriously. But if their version of events is to be believed, surely it shouldn't stop there. I'd imagine they'd have to go a bit of a step further to prove that some of these claims aren't true, especially because Open Secrets is claiming to have spoken to people who've had a direct interaction with people who are part of the supposed unit.
Yeah, I think this is basically part of the PR stunt of the military to try to mitigate the damage that has been caused by this report. Of course, your organizations like Open Source, whenever they do investigation, you know, before they go out and publish something, especially something as controversial as this topic, you know, they make sure that they covered all their bases and that they'll be able to defend themselves in a court of law should it go there. So I think the military is currently extremely worried because apart from damaging the image of the military, it also opens themselves up to some criminal investigations, and that might end up not good for them, you know, especially for the head of the SANDF to come out now. He ultimately will have to bear the brunt of what's happened here should it come to a court case, because you know, responsibility can be delegated but not accountability.
Absolutely. And, you know, you say it opens them up to investigation. I think it also opens them up to a whole lot more public scrutiny than what initially existed before the story made it into the public domain. And I wonder what you reckon we would find if people started digging at the SANDF, because until this point, we'd kind of seen signs of trouble in paradise, so to speak, right? These really major accidents that have taken place, fires breaking out at some military bases, questions around whether or not the military, as it is currently existing, is sustainable financially. If we were to look, it seems like we'd find a lot.
Of course, we should remember that there's a court case ongoing at the moment with the Abadiga abduction case at the Mall of Africa, where there's a very big investigation ongoing, where the military and some of the special forces have been implicated in that, and then also where the investigating officer, Colonel Matipa, was assassinated. So that's actually two ongoing investigations into the military that we believe, should it go to court, it's going to unravel a lot of a can of worms. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. In part of the defense that the SANDF chief put up yesterday is that if Open Secrets is standing by these claims, they should come forward with evidence. Part of what Chief Rudzani Maponya also mentioned is that so far there have been no formal charges opened against any of the people who've been mentioned in these reports. Does that sound like a challenge, do you reckon? I mean, what do you make of statements like those? Or do you reckon it's all part of that PR machine that is now kicking in, which you spoke about?
Well, it's a PR machine, definitely, because they're on the back foot at the moment. There's not a lot they can say in defense of themselves, but to resort to this. We must just remember that when you have a intricate case, a criminal case being investigated like this, the police have to be very careful that they build a very solid case. It takes some time, it takes resources, especially when one of their own have been assassinated. That brought them together, and I think that also built some resilience within the police to get to the bottom of what is going on and what happened here. So I think that we are in for quite a ride in the near future when they start with the first arrests there.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of concern now about ways through which this will prevent the SANDF from doing the work that they need to do. And by that I'm referring to the many other non-conventional military work that they have to do. We know the SANDF has been put out through special operations to work against illegal mining in this country, which has had a devastating impact on the economy as well as people's safety. The SANDF has also been stationed at Eskom power stations, we're told, in fact that was the intention, to guard against things like vandalism and the likes, or at least of equipment and infrastructure. This kind of development, what impact do you reckon it could have on that type of incredibly crucial work?
Yeah, it will. Remember, it's all about perception, because now there's a perception that the police, that the military is rogue and they've got rogue units, etc., etc. And as long as those perceptions are out there, there's going to be a cloud over the military and their deployment. We also must understand, it seems that the military became the sort of the go-to in the time where South Africa has just been overwhelmed by crime. So now every time deploying the military in a policing type of scenario, remember the military, first of all, their mandate is to fight outside of the country, outside of the borders, and also to protect our borders. That is what they are being trained for, and they are being trained for conventional, unconventional warfare, not for fighting crime. So in effect, you are taking actually some people and you're putting them outside of their environment that they have skills and that they have been trained for. So it's a show of force. It's a show of presence. But apart from that, they don't have. The military's got the same arresting powers than you and me, and not as a peace officer, because they're not peace officers when they are deployed. They are just there to support and to back up. And should there be, serious gun battles, then they will be able to help to protect the police with these criminals. But apart from that, they are being sent out as a problem solvers, even though we understand that the military is being defunded. They are severely underfunded and they can barely fulfill their mandate that they have to fulfill for the country because of that budget cuts that are there. So all in all, it places a big burden on the military budget, where I think management failed the police to some extent, because we've got 35,000 less policemen on the ground today than 10 years ago. When it comes to investigations, and what we're talking now is about the investigations, we need skilled investigators to investigate these type of things, and we have a shortage of more than 8,000 detectives on the ground. So we are actually being overwhelmed by organized crime at the moment.
Sure. An important story, this, the SANDF making headlines for all the wrong reasons once again. Willem, as always, thanks for your time. Appreciate your insights this Friday morning.